Let me hit record. Okay.
So, hey everybody, welcome to our first meeting of the spring semester. I am so excited. We have a lot of fun stuff planned today. And first up, we have our diversity and inclusion champions for the School of Nutrition and Food Science. Um, Dr. Erin McKinley, our club advisor, is one, and then Miss Brandy Jones is one as well. So I'm going to let them talk for a little bit and let y'all hear all about the great stuff that they are doing. So take it away.
All right. Well, y'all know me, so I'm going to let Brandy introduce herself, and then we'll tell you a little bit about the new Diversity Champions program.
Hi everyone, again my name is Brandy Jones and I have been with the Ag Center all of 6 months, and I am so happy to be able to just be a part of such a wonderful initiative as far as being diversity and inclusion champion. And I want to see how I can stand with the students at the College of Ag and just be all the things that the diversity and inclusion champions represent. And I don't want to speak too much because I do know that there's going to be a presentation, a short one, to give more information about what that is and what we do and why we do it. But I'm very happy to be here this evening, joining you all virtually. And if you have any questions or want to ask me anything, please let me know. I am not on campus. I work at the St. Louis Street office that is going to be changing soon. We are moving. So I can, well, no, I was going to say I can provide my email address, but it is right there. So please feel free to ask me anything, any questions. I am here to help.
All right. So I know that a lot of emails have been going out, and I don't know exactly which ones the students are seeing as opposed to what we're seeing on the faculty and staff side. But within the college, we do have this new program called the Diversity Champions, Diversity Inclusion Champions. It's a group, there's a dozen of us across the college. There's at least one of us in every school or department. The School of Nutrition and Food Science has two because we are the second largest department behind animal sciences. So what the program is kind of multifaceted. So Brandy and I will serve as, gosh, there's so many roles that we have. We can serve as mentors, we can serve as confidants, we can serve as someone you just want to confide things in, have a conversation with. We are here to provide you resources. We are here to hear your feedback about diversity and inclusion efforts at the college and the university level. If at any time you experience any sort of issue where you feel like you've been discriminated against for any sort of identity that you hold that you feel makes you diverse, we are the ones that you would come to have that conversation with to figure out what the next step would be, depending on what it is. So we kind of serve a lot as like the safe space program. I'm sure you're a little bit more familiar with that. We are folks that you can confidentially come to, anonymously come to have just basic conversations about things, and it can be just about anything. And then within the program itself, I know that Dr. Martin and Dr. Prest are working on a lot of events and initiatives, and Brandy and I will be taking on the role of not just representing the students and the School of Nutrition and Food Sciences, but making sure we're going to you, the students, to find out what you want us to do. Where are we missing the boat? Where we are missing the mark? Where are we doing things with what we plan to do? Are we doing it right? Are we not doing it? So we're going to be reaching out to the students of the school a lot over this semester, and then probably into the fall to solicit your feedback on a lot of these things. Meredith, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So the first thing that Brandy and I are going to do is have a Diversity Champions coffee chat. And several of the champions are doing these with the students in their respective departments. So ours is going to be on Monday at 4:30 on my Zoom, like everything else. And you can sign up through that link just so we can get an idea of how many students we're going to have. And if you sign up and you happen to be in the Baton Rouge area and your campus, you can stop by Wooden Hall and pick up like a little treat bag that's going to have like hot chocolate in it and tea or whatever. And at 4:30 on Monday, we're just going to meet for maybe 45 minutes to an hour, talk more about the program, maybe show some of the resources that we've been given with regard to the program, and then just kind of just use this time to let you get to know us on this level, because I know Brandy's brand new, she's not on campus, so you're definitely going to want to get to know her and start to figure out how you may be utilizing her. Y'all know me, but you don't know me in this role, so you might have questions about that. And then we might use it as a little informal focus group just to kind of see where your heads are at with regard to what's been going on with regard to diversity and inclusion on campus or within our college. So we certainly invite you to join us for that this Monday. Brandy, did you have anything else? I always tend to do the talking, I'm sorry.
I can definitely tell you, Dr. McKinley, that since I am fairly new, you can do the talking right now, but I am a talker, so I'll let you have these first few, but please make no mistakes that I am a talker, and when I say I am brand new in my role, I am brand new in my role, my career. I am brand new to a lot, but to me, that makes it all the more better, because I'm not coming in, I guess, and having somebody else show me their way. I'm going to show them the way. And I hope that you all can aid and assist me in showing everybody the way and the best way. Because it's a whole new year, of course, but diversity and inclusion, it is a big thing. I actually had my very first run-in with a situation on last weekend. Dr. McKinley and I, we will talk about that after, well, maybe not directly after, but yeah. Okay, I'm seeing things pop up. Okay, but anyway, sorry. Dr. McKinley, she stated everything that there was to be stated regarding what we do as diversity and inclusion champions. And again, we will wear many hats, we will serve in many roles, and I'm happy, I'm excited. So please feel free to get to know me, because I do want to get to know as many of you all as I can. So no, I don't have anything else to say.
Yes, we certainly encourage you, if you want to be getting involved in a lot of the efforts that are planned for the college, or if you want to contribute to your ideas to future plans, that's really what the coffee chat's going to help with, is really find out some of those things. And you are always free to email us at any time if you have ideas for things, for initiatives, events, more coffee chats, coffee chat topics, webinar topics. We could do extra SNDA meetings with special topics related to diversity. It's really whatever y'all want to do as far as that goes. Does anyone have any questions at all? Since we have a few minutes before Molly joins us. She's not quite with us yet, but we can take a few questions.
I have a question. Will this coffee chat be recorded and posted somewhere? I know some of us have metabolism at this time, so I was just curious.
Yeah, since we're using my Zoom, I will record it and pop it on YouTube and send out the link by email to everybody. That's easy.
Thank you.
Someone might have to remind me, someone who plans on coming. Good question, though. All right. I don't see Molly
I have a
yet.
question. How does a coffee chat sound to you all? Is it something that you think y'all would be interested in?
You can use your reactions and give us some thumbs up. We understand scheduling's always going to be an issue because we all have different schedules. So we will try to make future coffee chats at some different times to accommodate the weird class schedules y'all have in the spring. All right. Anything else? Molly's not here yet. I have an idea. Brandy, why don't you tell them real quick your role within Extension, just to give them a preview.
Certainly. So my title is, I am an area nutrition agent. And what I do is I go into the community. I serve all of East Baton Rouge Parish and the surrounding areas. And East Baton Rouge Parish is really, really big. So that includes Baker, Central, Zachary. My assignment is 80% youth and 20% general. And if you don't know what general means, that just means general population. But when I say youth, I mean, I work for an FNEP. Is anybody familiar with our FNEP program? No? Okay, well, FNEP is the Expanded Food Nutrition Education Program. And what we do is we provide nutrition education to low-income families. We go to schools, sometimes we go to their homes. We meet them wherever they are. We teach different lessons on food safety, just having better access to healthy foods, how to prepare healthy foods. We do lessons on physical activity, and the majority of these lessons are a series, but not all of them. What else? And it's when I tell you, this is literally the job of my dreams. I do not sit at my desk all day. In fact, I don't know if I ever sit at my desk, but just yesterday I went to work at a school, and I go in through the PE classes or through the health classes, and we do activities. The kids are so eager to learn, and it is just a wonderful job, and I love it, and I can't say enough about it. I could go on and on, so I'm gonna stop myself because I can ramble and get on a soapbox and just tell you why there is such a need for nutrition education in schools that I service. We do a lot of PSEs that we do, like the playground stenciling, especially during the time of COVID-19, because the germs, and they don't want the kids to play on playground equipment because that's more germs being passed. So we go and we paint playground stencils like hopscotch and all different kinds of stuff. So if you ever want to volunteer, or if you want to come and see and work with me and just say, hey, can I come and see what you do? Please, by all means, email me. I'd love to have anybody just come and see. And maybe it can, put that inkling in your mind to work in extension. We need people in extension, especially food and nutrition. And it's so rewarding, and I absolutely love it. It just helps me to feel like, okay, the work that I do, it is needed, and I love doing it. So if I didn't answer anything Dr. McKinley said, just interrupt. Please let me know.
All right, thank you so much. So we were supposed to have our speaker here, so I don't know where she is. So thank you, Brandy, for joining us. If you want to hang around, you totally can. Hopefully our speaker shows up. So I'm going to say, Meredith, if you want to skip forward and just start doing announcements, and then once Molly gets here, we'll go to that.
I'm sorry, I wanted to say something. I'm reading some messages in the chat. Oh, it is so exciting, and it is so great to share that knowledge with younger kids, because you all wouldn't believe just how their young minds, they want to know. A lot of the children that I serve, they don't know the difference between a fruit or a vegetable. And to break out the My Plate demos and have them to come and put a fruit in the fruit spot and a grain in the grain spot. And when I first start, they don't know the difference. And then after a few weeks, they know, and they can build a whole healthy My Plate. The thrill, it's my whole heart. So yes, it is very exciting. So I'm gonna mute again now, but thank y'all.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm gonna let Meredith take over.
Thank you so much. That definitely sounds super interesting. And now we have our speaker for the day, Molly Kimball, and she's a nutrition journalist and registered dietitian, and also the founder of Oshner Eat Fit. So I will let her take it away and talk about what she does. Thanks for coming today.
Are you guys hearing me? Okay. Well, I don't know if you heard me say it, but there's a lot of faces as I'm scrolling, a lot of faces, a lot of names. So I'm excited that you all have such a really good presence with the group. So that warms my heart to see. I'll give y'all a little bit of background about myself. I know that we're talking mostly about Eat Fit. I like to share with y'all a couple of things. One, the different kind of roles and work that I have and kind of what led to that. And then especially about Eat Fit. And the reason I like to is, when I was at LSU, it was SDA then, Student Dietetic Association. And, there would be these really amazing dietitians that would come and present, but it always seemed like, okay, like that's so far from where I'm thinking right now. Like, how am I going to go from right here to that? And so I like to kind of share some of those things along the way, that one thing leads to the next, So I don't, I'll start by saying the different things that we're doing, but then I like to kind of give a little bit of that backstory. I do have a presentation that's about Eat Fit. I'm trying to decide where to start. I know that we're going till about 5:30, and I set my alarm for 5:25 because I have a 5:30 meeting also. So I want to make sure we make the most of our time. But as I said, registered dietitian, I went to LSU and I have been a registered dietitian. Sports dietetics is my specialty certification, so CSSD, and I'm at Ochsner Fitness Center in New Orleans, and I've been there since 1999. And there's a few things that I guess I'll kind of give y'all a chronological is the best way to start. I graduated from LSU. I did my dietetic internship. At the time it was Turo, which y'all, there's no dietetic internship there anymore. Finished my internship on a Friday and started our nutrition program at Ochsner Fitness Center on a Monday. And there was no dietitian in place. And I remember the people who hired me were like, oh, we're so excited to have like a nutrition expert on staff. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't even because we don't learn enough, certainly in undergrad or in a traditional internship, to be the expert in sports nutrition. So I read and consumed as much as I could. And I realized very quickly that if I didn't know something, I would just say, I don't know it, whether it's to the trainers or to clients and things. And so I did a lot of, at that time too, there wasn't as much sports nutrition programming. So I had to do a lot of self-education. And it's just like that with anything now. There's a lot of areas of nutrition sciences that are just now being explored. And it's not something that we have in our curriculum yet. And so if those are things that we're interested in, it's up to us to further that knowledge and further that education. So that's kind of in a nutshell. Started our nutrition program there. I'll also say it was one of those things where as dietitians, we don't always have a business mind. We don't always know how to price our services, how to market our services. And those were all things that fell to me. So even though it's under the Ochsner system, at the time it was like, well, figure it out. Like, what's your logo look like? What's your pricing structure going to look like? How are you going to tell people that you're here? And so that was something that was a very daunting at the time to go into that starting. So I like to share because that was kind of how we started it. Where we are now, so that was 99, so 21, almost 22 years later now, we have several full-time dietitians on staff with me at the fitness center, and they see clients one-on-one, they see families, they work with food sensitivities, disordered eating, the full scope of things. And I can share a little bit more of that, but that's one part that I have of my role is managing our registered dietitians who see clients one-on-one. The other key part of my role is Eat Fit, which I have, like I said, a PowerPoint that I'll kind of share to make sure I cover some things. Eat Fit, I started it in 2013, and I started it as a response of our leadership said, what can we do to have a bigger impact in the community beyond people coming to meet with you and your registered dietitians? And I was like, at the time I was seeing clients full time and overseeing our other dietitians who were seeing more clients, and there didn't seem like there was really time to launch this. But I said, what if we worked with restaurants to incorporate some sort of icon on the menu to identify what are the things we're guiding people to make these choices in the first place? And so and it was essentially my husband's idea. So my husband always says that Eat Fit was his best idea ever and his worst idea ever. Because as we talk more, it's grown and grown and grown. So he's like, because he was the one who was always like, Molly, people will come up to you and y'all get it now, I'm sure, as nutrition students. There's, people know that this is what you're into. They want guidance. So strangers will come up at restaurants and say, I have high blood pressure, I have this, what should I eat or whatever. So sometimes my husband's like, what if you worked with restaurants? And I was like, that's just giant. And so when I pitched it to Ochsner and said, hey, what if we could do this for this community impact? And it needs to be free. It's going to be community restaurants. It's not big chain restaurants because we can't move the needle at those. And so that was essentially how Eat Fit was born, which I'm going to come back to that. So I'll pause on that. The other areas of what I do is kind of more in the lines of media and communications. And so back when I was starting and trying to figure out how do I let people know that I'm there at the fitness center, I started writing for a local publication, kind of Health and Fitness magazine, and they didn't have a budget to compensate, but they did have, I could at least write in exchange for advertising space, which advertising space is expensive. And so being able to at least make that swap, I would highly encourage you, if you have an opportunity to contribute for any type of publication, don't sell your services for something that's completely free. You know, what is a reciprocation that we can have so that dietitians are not giving their services away for free? So for me, having that advertising, that built-in advertising and having that space was huge because I wouldn't have had a budget for that otherwise. That writing, and then when different opportunities would come up that Ocean or PR would say, can someone show up in the news station at 5 a.m. to talk about hydration for the Crescent City Classic? I would say I can, because you know, while maybe the clinical dietitians at the hospital, they were like, you know, already seeing a full book of patients, and it didn't matter if they did anything like that. It's not going to bring more patients into the hospital. But in this situation, that higher visibility could bring in more clients into the fitness center. And that's something that was definitely important. So I would do a lot of those things. What can we do to just be out in the face of people and let them know that we have this here? Those two things that I just told y'all, writing for that magazine for free in exchange for ad space, and then getting up and showing up early for the morning segments, turned into two paid opportunities. One is a writer for over 10 years for the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com. And then the other, and that was until it got bought by the Advocate. Unfortunately, a lot of the food writers and freelancers were not brought over. So I'm sad that that ended, but for 10 years, it was a really, really cool thing. And so now I'll contribute to other publications, but I do miss that weekly column. The other thing that led to was a freelance position with ABC, the news station here. The news director happened to be up early, watching one of those early morning segments about whatever it was that we were talking about as a community hospital. And his ex-wife had been a dietitian. So he knew the value of having a registered dietitian giving this information. He calls me one day, he asked to meet. I thought I had done something wrong. And he brought me in, and that was what he said, you know, hey, would you want to do this on an ongoing basis as a freelancer? And I was like, that would be great. So the weekly TV segment that I do, the writing opportunities, all kind of stemmed from having that passion to follow through regardless of, you know, doing it because you're passionate, not because of a paycheck on it. You know, what am I going to do because I'm passionate? You need to make sure it's worth your time, but doing things because we're passionate, and then those opportunities are going to come. And then the third element of communication is a podcast. And so I do have a weekly podcast. It's called Fueled Wellness and Nutrition with Molly. Some of the podcasts are just me talking about a topic that I'll know through and through. Others are something that I'm bringing in an expert to talk about. The one that it's a two-part one that's airing last week and this week is on acupuncture and the benefits of acupuncture as it relates to whole body wellness. There's all types of topics that we talk about a lot. Some are behavior, more mindset and behavior focused. Others are simply like, what's the deal with collagen or apple cider vinegar? You know, so it's the full scope there. So those are the three kind of outlets that I look at of everything is with that umbrella of how do we get quality information out there, and how do we get quality information out there that is in a way that people can understand. We're talking to them in a way that they can relate, that they can take it away, and it has an actionable, item associated with it. So I try to make sure that whatever I'm talking about, we're not just presenting a problem of why something isn't good. If we're presenting a problem of like why this option isn't good, we always want to have that solution. And so the end goal of all of these things is to provide education, hopefully inspiration, and then also a takeaway message of an action that person can start incorporating right then. So those are that's kind of a very quick snapshot of the different things that I do. Our dietitians who see clients, our Eat Fit initiative, which is what I'm going to spend the bulk of our time talking about, and then those communication and media outlets. they're all separate. Those other media outlets are all separate. They're all paid separate as a freelancer. But what's really cool is each of those outlets will allow me to talk about Eat Fit, talk about the nonprofit work we do with Eat Fit. And so there's a lot of a natural synergy. It's really great too, because Oxnard Health, which of course is where our fitness center is based out of, and Eat Fit is under, the digital team there will take those other outlets and then transform that into Oshner blog. And so it's a really nice synergy that one kind of helps support the other. Any questions on that part before I get into the presentation? Oh, can you guys, Meredith, if you can stop sharing the screen, if we have any questions, I'll take those while I'm pulling up mine. Okay, let's see. Any questions before I jump into this? Let me ask this. It's going to be hard to like see everybody, but can y'all do like a big head nod if you've heard of Eat Fit or Eat Fit BR? Keep nodding because I'm scrolling side by side. Okay, good. I see a lot. Yes. Okay, I'm on the way. Like I can't see the rest of you guys. Sydney, Anna, Margaret. So y'all can stop nodding because y'all aren't on video if you were. Okay, great. So there's a lot of y'all that have heard of Eat Fit, which really, really, really warms my heart. So this is something that I wanted to touch on those other things first to kind of just give y'all like just kind of big picture overview of what we do. But Eat Fit is something that to me, I think it's like the coolest thing that this is out there. This is free for the community. And it's been a really rewarding thing for me to start it and to see it grow, and it continues to grow. And I'll share with y'all some about our team, but before, I mean, I like the team of dietitians that we've pulled together that are helping us, you know, drive Eat Fit across the state is just like, it's just such a close group and a supportive group. And so I'll encourage y'all, anybody who's listening, we do have Eat Fit ambassadors that will work with us. And the regions that we have Eat Fit in are New Orleans, Baton Rouge with Eat Fit BR, Acadiana, North Shore, and then also Shreveport and Monroe. So depending on where you are in the summer, if you've got like a summer open or you wanted to work with us, we don't have people typically work with us in shadow for a day because every day is so different and it's all over the place. And it can sometimes be a challenge to have someone who's with you just for like a day or 2 days. But we do have an application. And if you just Google like Eat Fit application or Eat Fit ambassador, you'll see the application. And typically if it's no less than 2 months, and then some, depending on their availability, may work with us. And especially if they've worked with us 2 months and they continue to do different things distance, it's a really, the longer that someone works with us, they get a lot of autonomy and a lot of really cool projects that they get to immerse in. And then as y'all see with some of the things we talk about, they're also getting credit for, they're associated with it and they're tied to it. You know, they're getting that visibility for it. So it's a really cool thing. So with that, I'll start out with Eat Fit. So I mentioned that my role started at the fitness center, Oshner Fitness Center in New Orleans. If y'all aren't familiar with it, it's not connected to the hospital. It's a separate standalone fitness center. So when I say Oshner Fitness Center, it's not at all in a hospital. It's not a clinical setting. It's really more of a wellness setting. And so that's, again, kind of where the idea of Eat Fit kind of started. So when we look at Eat Fit, what is it? It is a nonprofit. Again, we don't charge restaurants. It's completely free to our restaurants and food service partners. And basically, it's to take the guesswork out of it. It's to make the healthy choice, the easy choice in all aspects of our life. We put the Eat Fit seal on the menu. It might be at restaurants. In normal times, we have Eat Fit at festivals. We have Eat Fit in a handful of schools. Schools are our biggest challenge for a lot of reasons, but we do have Eat Fit in some schools. We'll have it at grocery stores, corner markets, sports venues, airport. So our idea is wherever food or drink is served or sold, we want to try to get in there and have an Eat Fit option there. So it looks like this on the menu with just a little Eat Fit seal, and then we have the verbiage. And there's all different, you know, I actually don't like this version, the black heavy seal. I like this one where it's a little open and airy. But it's up to the restaurants. And so we work with the restaurants to put it on their menus. I realized I don't think I updated all of the slides here with some of the numbers. So I'll say some of these, but we now have, by the end of February, we'll have Eat Fit in 500 restaurants across the state, which we're really excited about. This is our criteria. As dietitians, we always kind of want to know, well, what are the numbers, you know, and what is this based on? So the Eat Fit criteria is based on what are the top heavy hitters that are damaging our community: blood pressure, hyperlipidemia, diabetes. Those are our top 3 really heavy hitters. Obesity. How could we target these in the mainstream restaurants that people are going to? So our criteria addresses sodium. It addresses type of carbohydrate and added sugar. And then we keep that emphasis on protein, fiber, healthy fats, plant-based fats. This slide is not developed for y'all specifically as dietetics professionals. This is for the public. So this is how we say the criteria to the public. People use they'll say like no white carbs. I've had some people say, well, cauliflower. I'm like, all right, that's, but you know what I mean. No white refined processed carbohydrates. If there is a starch in there, it's a whole grain starch, not the white counterpart. Some animal fats, but really we limit those, and we'll go through the numbers, but we limit animal saturated fats. Added sugar, depends on what it is. If it's a entree, we'll allow up to 5 grams of added sugar because we want to be able to accommodate if there's honey in that vinaigrette or whatever it might be. And then, as we said, that protein, fiber, healthy fats, you can find the full criteria. If you go to the easiest ways, if you just type in Eat Fit criteria, you can see the full criteria. We have it mapped out by if it's an entree, if it's a side item, if it's a dessert or a cocktail, if it's all the different parameters, if it's a snack, because we have Eat Fit and vending machines. So the numbers of what's the calorie upper limit, what's the saturated fat from animal fat upper limit, what's the sodium upper limit, that's going to vary based on eating opportunity. But in short, for the sodium, we used as a baseline the American Heart Association's heart check mark for sodium, and that is 800 milligrams for a restaurant entree, everything as it arrives onto the plate. And so we'll work with the restaurants, and we'll get the recipes from the restaurants, and they'll give us the recipes as they are. We do the recipe analysis. We see what do the numbers look like? What's the calories, or what does the sodium look like? What does it all look like? We kind of assess. So we might get 12 dishes from them, and we do the recipe analysis in a software called Food Care. After we do the analysis based on their recipes, we'll see, okay, most of them aren't going to fit as is. Maybe 1 or 2 are going to fit as is. 3 might be so far off that we would have to change so much about that dish that that would compromise the integrity of that dish. And we're not even going to propose that to the restaurants. We find that works well to not create friction with the chefs. If we're going to come back and say these things could be modified, we want it to be things that chef feels proud serving if they're willing to make that modification. So some are going to fit as is, some are going to be so far out there we're not going to try. And then those that are kind of in the middle, we can see, okay, the sodium is way too high. What's driving it up? And then sometimes we might say, oh, it's the sodium that's natural in the shrimp or the crab meat. And we really can't do anything about that. Or we might see that it's one particular sauce that's driving it up. And if they adjusted the salt in that sauce, then it would make a big difference on this dish. And so we'll go back and, sometimes there's multiple ways that same number could be targeted. The sodium could be dropped by this approach or this approach. And then the restaurant we work back and forth very closely, our registered dietitians in each area. Those areas where I said we have Eat Fit means we have a full-time registered dietitian in each of those areas working hands-on with the restaurants. So they'll go back and forth and they may say, I'm not going to make that change, or, I've always thought that dish was kind of salty. Or a lot of times they'll say, wow, the whole reason we created that dish was because we wanted it to be nutritious. We had, one guy I remember was like, the whole reason he created these salads at his pizza place was because his parents were elderly, they had hypertension. And so he made these salads to have a healthier option for them at his pizza place. The salads had over 3,000 milligrams of sodium because of the add-ins, but especially because of the vinaigrette that he had made. And so he was like very willing to make the change because of why he had created those dishes. So sometimes, it's a back and forth, and it's very much a delicate dance. And we try to be very mindful of what's important to them and what they'll change. And also what's going to be realistic to them to bring in as far as, minimizing the number of new ingredients. So the criteria is this on the left. For all the numbers, again, you can Google Eat Fit criteria and you can see it all by the meals categories. And then on the right, this is the back of what we call little server education cards. These are little 4x4 cards that can go into like their apron pockets or can go on a bulletin board. And so what we say, of course, dietitians hate the phrase eat clean, but people say eat clean. So, people know that. So if someone wants to eat healthfully, eat nutritiously, if they're watching their weight or their blood pressure or cholesterol. But, we also want to make sure that when we're giving our staff education, I forgot to mention that as a restaurant becomes Eat Fit and we put the seal on the menu, we're in there as soon as that seal goes on the menu to do staff education. So the servers have that talking point. They understand about Eat Fit. They understand what Eat Fit means. I'll get to this in a second, but we have an Eat Fit smartphone app that has all the nutritional criteria so the customer can see it. But we want to get in there and develop that relationship with the servers. We're in there at least twice a year is our goal, to be in every restaurant to do server education, because there is so much turnover in restaurants. And then our dietitian to the restaurants in person every 8 weeks. So we're doing server education maybe every 6 months, but every 2 months our dietitians stop in, because restaurants are notoriously bad at email. They're terrible communicators in any way other than just on the phone or in person. Usually, that's a stereotype, but it's typically true. And when we changed our approach to the restaurants for our protocol to include we are in there in person every 8 weeks, it's been a game changer for the relationships with those restaurants. So it's a very hands-on approach. So how Eat Fit started, I told y'all that, the backstory of this. I didn't mention, so here's a sampling of our group. And we do have one more person added to our team since here, but yeah, this is a sampling of our group. It doesn't include our Katie and a dietitian. She was not available for this day. This is completely off topic, but I want to share this with y'all. If y'all haven't done this Equilibria, it's a really cool thing. So as we built our family, and I mentioned to y'all at the beginning that our group is like super tight, super close, very supportive of each other, but also very different personalities and approaches. This is something that I've started doing every time we bring someone new into our team. And if you just go to Equilibria, type in like Equilibria personality, it'll categorize, what are you? So if I have someone who's a thinking doer, that person's in their head, they're task focused, they're boom, 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 they're diligent, they're going to think through the processes, they're very analytical, and they're going to get that task done. If I have someone that's a socializing relator, sometimes they're great at developing these relationships. The restaurants love them, but the follow through of that person of actually doing the recipe analysis or having some of those nuts and bolts sometimes is a challenge. My personality is the top two, socializing doer. So I'm very task focused, get it done. And I'm very much an advocate for things, but I don't always have that green part, that analytical part, that thinking through. And so once we started doing this and realizing where our strong points are and where we are lacking, I realized I need to ask for help or ask opinion before I commit to something, because typically I would think something's a great idea. It sounds fantastic. Why not? Let's do it. Let's jump in, which can be great, but it can also get us all feeling very overwhelmed and spread thin. And so by using this and kind of identifying those personality characteristics on our team, it's an incredible way for us to all kind of know how do we communicate with each other effectively. So completely different, not about Eat Fit or nutrition, but as we're talking about building the team, I do like to include this in here. I mentioned this, we have grocery stores, markets, festivals, schools. We'll also work with Second Harvest, different projects with them, and Top Box, y'all are probably familiar with them, doing produce throughout Baton Rouge and New Orleans areas. But these are some of the different things beyond restaurants. The other things that we have, and then I'll save time for questions. Oh, let's go back to criteria for a second. I didn't mention this, but when we talk about the criteria, we base it on sodium, we base it on added sugar, white carbs versus whole grain carbs, and then, limiting animal fats and keeping a greater emphasis on plant-based fats. We don't have a criteria that has a requisite that things have to be organic or non-GMO or local or vegan. And we do get those questions sometimes from people. And a lot of times it's posed sometimes as a question, sometimes it's posed as should. Well, you should make it non-GMO, or you should make it, a requirement needs to be local. Should is probably my least favorite word. It's my least favorite word for us to use personally. I should do that, instills a feeling of guilt for us. You should do this isn't always said to someone with full knowledge of what that project is. So I say that. So whenever we get that you should have it be vegan or non-GMO, there's a lot of reasons we don't. If we put those limitations on restaurants, we would have very few partners. And the partners that we would have that would commit to and agree to those criteria are restaurants that didn't need our help that much in the first place. You know, if they're going to have all those things in place, organic, non-GMO, vegan, et cetera, you know, they're already doing so much. We want to go to the restaurants that are really going to hit the masses and have the most impact. So with that, a couple of other things that we do add in. So what we just talked about is like the core, the restaurants, working with them, putting the seal on the menu, the app, which I think I have an image in here, I'll show y'all. Those are our core. Along the way, sort of what I was just telling y'all about, my nature to just like, let's just do it, you know, dive in and go big with some of these things. So creating an Eat Fit King Cake. If y'all haven't seen it, Whole Foods has the best price on it. It's $12.99 at Whole Foods. It's gluten-free, grain-free, dairy-free. It has eggs in it. It's cage-free eggs. But we work with a bakery out of Dallas who basically took a recipe that we have in our cookbook, scaled it up, and it's now available. It's sold in Whole Foods throughout Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma. Publix picked it up this year from Mobile on east along the coast. And we have about 30 retailers through Louisiana that we found a distributor who works with that. The bakery makes it to our standards. It's boxed with the Eat Fit branding on it. And the bakery donates $1 a king cake back to the Eat Fit nonprofit. So that was a really cool thing. It was, I'd never created a product like that. And so it was definitely a learning curve. And of course, working with certified gluten-free bakery and just all the things that go in it to work with these different grocery stores has been huge, but it's a very fun thing to go in with. Sometimes people can be confused. If this is the first thing they think, then they think Eat Fit's a bakery. They don't realize what Eat Fit is. Alcohol free for 40. This is something that will be kicking off the day after Mardi Gras, Ash Wednesday. And this is something that I started as a columnist for the Times-Picayune. And I kind of proposed it to my editors. And I said, what if we encourage people who are going to give up alcohol for Lent anyway, and people, whether they're Catholic or not, a lot of times give something up for Lent. What if we make it, encourage people to make it their own self-experiment and do certain labs and metrics before and after? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. So we started the Alcohol Free for 40 challenge. It's grown and grown and grown as other things have. We're offering it now through all 6 regions. And we actually host the labs for them with Ochsner. And so for $25, they can come in and they're going to get their high sensitivity C-reactive protein, which measures inflammation, their liver enzymes, just a whole host of labs. Then separately, they go to a different location because of distancing. We're having to do a little bit different this year, but normally we have a big kickoff party and we have different vendors there that have zero-proof cocktails, and it's a very mix and mingle way for people to meet other people participating. This year we're having to do it distant, so it's a little different, but they go to a separate space and we're doing close-up photos so they can see their eyes, their skin texture, their blood pressure, their body composition with muscle mass, et cetera. And we do that before all the labs, all those physical metrics, and then we do it at the end of the 40 days. And so they're truly making it their own self-experiment over these 40 days. People can still join our Alcohol Free for 40 Facebook group. We have people who join it from literally all over the world who aren't coming in and doing those labs. But if they are in the Louisiana area, many of them do take advantage of the pre and post as well to see it. So that's been something that's really cool. And if you follow Eat Fit BR on social or Eat Fit NOLA on social, you'll see a lot about King Cake right now and a lot about Alcohol Free for 40 because those are happening. And then Dine Out Week. This is something that's just a big celebration of our restaurants each year. And then our cookbook, we published our cookbook just over a year ago, and this is about 125 recipes from about 40 different partners. That was another one. This is a cool thing. So we had an LSU grad, her name is Emily Eichhoff, and she had worked with me probably 3 different summers in between college. And then she took a gap year after college. Then she did her master's before she did her dietetic internship. And so she worked with us through that gap year. And then during her master's, she's like, Molly, like I've done so much with Eat Fit, but I want to do something for my capstone project for her master's in public health. She's like, what's something that I can do that would have like a really big impact? I'm like, what if we did a cookbook? And so I'd never done one before. She'd never done one before, but it's beautiful, beautiful photography thanks to her. She'd never picked up a camera before. So every single one of y'all who's listening to this right now are in the place she was. She had never, and okay, maybe if you picked up a camera, you're a few steps ahead. She'd never picked up a camera. She taught herself how to use a professional camera. She did all the photography for this because we had to pull this cookbook together with no budget. We don't have a budget for styling or anything else. I mean, and we had a publisher who agreed to print and publish the cookbook, which was huge because then you're not having to absorb that cost. But to have a whole team to pull together to do this, it was just us. So she did a lot of the researching and gathering the recipes. She's listed in the main title page as photographer, which is a really, really cool thing. And so it was, yeah, so she was photographer of the cookbook as a dietetic intern, also turned into this. So when I said this, I said, what if we did a cookbook? And with this, hey, what if we took this really cool recipe that's in our cookbook? Well, it was before our cookbook was published, but we had a really cool recipe and we turned it into something that could be available in retailers and alcohol free. What if we asked people to make this their own self-experiment if they're going to give up alcohol for Lent anyway? So this is like truly my favorite words. And some people use what if in a bad, negative way, like what if, and they're worrying. To me, like our team knows like the what if is like the best words that they can bring, having this idea, this what if, and let's hear it. Let's think about it. Let's think it through. And a lot of times the answer is like, why not? And if it's something that we find feasible and, it may not always be a success, but let's try it and let's see what turns out from it. So with this, I just encourage all of y'all to like kind of tune into this. If you have something that's been marinating back there and you're like, this would be a really cool thing. And there's not something else like this around, just like share it with someone. Because sometimes all you need is like that one person like listening and going like, yeah, that is a good idea. Or like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Or vetting out like, no, I haven't seen that before. Like that's something to really give some thought to. This is just a peek inside of the cookbook, some of Emily's photos here. So just really pretty. And this is what I would say, chase your what if. And I'm keeping an eye on time. So this is our app, our smartphone app that I mentioned to y'all earlier. It's free for download. So it has all of our restaurants. So if you go to like in Baton Rouge, MJ's or Tsunami, or there's, I'm blanking on the shawarma name, but like there's like 60 something restaurants, City Pork, there's, the poke place. I'm blanking on all of them. I was with her last week. I go to our regions all the time and meet with our restaurants, but Mestizos, all of these are on the app. So you pull up the app, it geolocates. So wherever you are, if you're in Baton Rouge, you pull up the app and you put in your zip, it'll tell you what restaurants and what partners are around you that are Eat Fit. Then when you click on that partner, it'll show you all the dishes that are Eat Fit. When you click on the dish, it'll show you the nutrition facts of that dish. It won't reveal the recipe, it'll just reveal the nutrition facts to the consumer. So if whatever they're concerned about or whatever they're curious about, they can see there. We also have hundreds of recipes on the app, and then we have brand specific shopping guides available for download for free from the app. And so then this will kind of end here and then take some questions, but how to get involved, following us on social. I have Eat Fit NOLA, but I should have added Eat Fit BR on here for social. And then I have mine on here as well. Downloading the app. If you don't have it downloaded, it's free. Just type in Eat Fit. You'll see the little orange button, and then you can start to kind of play around with it and see different restaurants. The cookbook, it's in Barnes & Noble and retailers like that, so keep an eye out for it. It's also in Red Stick Spice in Baton Rouge. And then the king cake, we talked about that. And then also share with your favorite restaurants, let them know if you're going into a place and you're a regular face at a restaurant, ask them, hey, are y'all Eat Fit? If you're not sure, or if you know they're not, be like, hey, have you heard of Eat Fit? And if they express any type of interest, you can reach out to me. And I don't have Savannah, our Eat Fit BR dietitian's name on here, but reach out to us. You can reach out to us through the app. You can reach out to us at staff.eatfit@gmail.com. And that goes to all of us. And so you can just be like, hey, but I'm going to have my contact information on the last one. So if there's any places that you reach out to and they would be like, yeah, maybe so, find out that person's name, send it our way, and we're on it. Because as soon as they're hearing from their customer base, then the restaurants are going to be more likely to be involved. So with that, I'm going to stop there. I think that was our last one. I'll leave this up for contact info, but what kind of questions do you guys have?
Hey Molly, my name's Sydney DeVille. I'm just wondering what was your biggest complication when you were first starting this program? Because I have been like playing around with an idea for the company that I currently work for nutrition, because I would like to continue working with them after. And it's a UCA, which is a global cheerleading company. And I just want to like know like what's like the biggest piece of advice like as far as like that complication went.
The biggest hurdle was for Eat Fit, especially because Eat Fit is a nonprofit. And so it was really hard for our leadership to say, we're going to support this and have these salaries for something that doesn't bring in any revenue. I didn't mention, and I should have said, this is tremendously important. We had a 3-year collective impact grant from Blue Cross Blue Shield. So we applied for it in 2016. We got it in 2017. So basically it went into effect 2018, 19, and 20. It funded a large portion of the salaries for those dietitians in the region. So the grant gave us the grant gave us the opportunity to put ourselves there. And it sounds like you might be working there as like a student worker at this point, or some capacity like that. What we did during those 3 years of the grant, not only for the grant, but also for our own purposes, we track everything. We track this presentation will go in for our community impact. So we track everything that we do, whether it's media, whether it's community, how many restaurants we're in. We track social engagement. We track social, everything. And we report out on that twice a year. And so at the end of, as that 3-year grant was coming to a close, I reached out to our leadership and I said, hey, which had changed. So the leadership that I had in 2013, when I started Eat Fit, was very doubtful. And they were very like, every penny mattered like to them, and they would say it was a very short-sighted view, I think, at that time. And I'm speaking this very candidly, but it was a very short-sighted view by that team back in 2013. Hold on. Sorry, I had my alarm going off. And so over time, that team changed. So what was kind of butting into these walls, that team isn't there now anymore, but it was a gradual shift. It wasn't just one person, it was a gradual culture shift. And during that time, from 2013 till now when we started it, no one asked me to submit reports. And I called it like our community report. I called it our value report for the first 5 years. It was our Eat Fit value report. I'm having to prove our value, prove our worth so that we can continue this. And so and if you're doing something like that, people don't typically want to read a whole lot, especially people that you're trying to convince of something like that. So it needs to be like literally like a 1-pager. And at the top, I would have what's up and coming, especially if it was something really excited. Like right now, we're about to launch Eat Fit in all the Smoothie Kings across the state. That's really exciting. That's going to happen February 8th. So if I was submitting it now, up and coming, Eat Fit launching in 107 Smoothie Kings across the state. And I always make sure I would say Ochsner Eat Fit launching and so that our Ochsner leadership is relevant to them, and then positioning that. So I would say that was the biggest thing. So then towards the close of the grant, when I reach out to our now leadership and say, hey, our 3-year grant is coming to a close. We have dietitians across all regions. What's going to happen? Because what happens with the grant is if you lose the grant, the whole thing dries up, and what are you going to do now? So I was really nervous to have that conversation. And then they said, like, are you kidding? They said, Eat Fit is a gold standard of having that community impact and moving the dial and moving the needle when it comes to wellness. And she said, I can't even believe you thought that we wouldn't want to support it. And y'all, I'd like teared up. And then I just had to say, I said, I think I might cry because I was like so emotional. I was like, oh my gosh, because I had thought this could be pulled, and it was quite possible it would be. But that person who I was having that meeting with, she wasn't my direct report. She was someone higher up in it, but she had been receiving those mid-year and end-of-year reports. So she knew the impact, and no one else knows all the work you're doing. So that's the other thing I would say to all of y'all, like if you're doing all this amazing stuff, we're pretty visible with what we do on social and stuff like that with Eat Fit, but no one in our leadership is going to know the sum of what we're doing unless we tell them. And so all of y'all, you have to be the ones telling your story of these accomplishments that you're doing. And it can be hard because like as women, most of us are women in this group, let's be honest, in the profession, but all of us, it is really hard to want to do that because you feel like you're being braggy, or you feel like you're being self-promoting or whatever, but no one else is going to tell that story for you. So that, I would say, is my key on that. And I think for everyone listening, like whatever you're doing, you can't assume the people that are around you know all the good stuff you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Other questions, y'all? Any? There's got to be something. Okay, well, y'all have my email on here. I know always there's questions that like I might want to ask, but I don't want to ask in front of everyone. So y'all all feel free to email me or to call me. And then if y'all are interested in at any point doing like ambassador work, just fill out that. You can find the link. It's at, you just, like I said, just Google like Eat Fit Ambassador and you'll see the form. And the email to send it to is also on the form. But reach out to me for anything. If y'all have got, if there's different like projects y'all are working on or anything like that, like the impact we've had and the growth and the exciting stuff that we've had, our team is really small for the reach that we have. And we're able to have that reach because we do have like such strong support from, interns who rotate through with us and ambassadors who, spend extra time with us. So, and there's always fun stuff going on. So any other things, y'all, before we hop off? Okay. All right, well, thanks y'all for coordinating this. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to see all these faces and to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. Okay, so some announcements. First off, membership dues. So if you only paid for last semester, or if you're new and want to join this semester, which you totally should, it is $15, and you can Venmo that to at SNDA LSU or drop off a check or cash to Dr. McKinley's office. And then also the Going All In podcast. This is great for anybody who is starting to look at internships. 40 episodes are up now on YouTube, more to come. I think we'll include the calendar and the email for which ones will be coming up. And then hazing training. If you are new to SNDA, this is super important. It is through Moodle and just do ASAP. So you'll get a little certificate after you finish the class. Oh no. And then next up for our seniors, we have a DICAS and D&D scholarship opportunity, which is super exciting. It's open to graduating seniors, and there are going to be 3 $105 scholarships to help cover the cost of DICAS and D&D. So you should definitely apply, get that money so you don't have to pay out of pocket. And the link to apply is right there, and it'll also be sent out in the email. And that application is going to close on February 5th. So make sure you fill that out. And then a volunteer opportunity. So this Wednesday from 1 to 3 in the food lab, which is in the human ecology building, come help make a meal for St. Vincent de Paul. Only 5 people are needed, especially with COVID. We're really trying to, limit everybody. And there's the sign up. So if you're interested, go ahead and sign your name up before those slots get taken. But yeah, and if there's a lot of interest, let us know. We will definitely do it again in the future. So
Yeah, if you can't help with this one and you want to donate, you can send $5 via Venmo and get a service point to help pay for the groceries. They're making chili and cornbread this week.
sounds delicious. And then next up, officer positions for next year. So nominations are open February 1st to February 22nd. So you're going to email a current headshot/photo and a write-up on why you should be elected and to the position that you're nominating yourself for, and that can be sent to Dr. McKinley. So our positions that are open, we have president-elect, and this is open to current freshmen and sophomores, and it's a 2-year position. So super exciting. That was me a few years ago, which is crazy to think about, but I've absolutely loved my experience. And we also have our secretary, which is Andy this semester, or this year, oh my goodness. And so you'll be you'll be the one sending out the emails before and after all the meetings, taking notes, all of that jazz. And then we have our treasurer who handles all of our money. That is Shelby this semester. So contact members about dues, all of our scholarship opportunities. So much fun. Definitely would recommend. And not only do we have officer positions, we have chair positions too. So maybe you're a little busier, but still want to be involved in the club. We have awesome chair positions available. So our community outreach and National Nutrition Month chair, fundraising co-chairs, technology and social media, social points and a mentoring chair, and then our Ag Association liaison. We do, they also handle our baskets, so whether it's for Thanksgiving, Easter, all of that, and we'll also help out with National Nutrition Month. So there will be a link to that application in the follow-up email. And next up, I don't know if Andy wants to talk a little bit about this since this is her position right now, but the brand student intern position. So
yeah, I can talk about it. So I've been the brand student intern this is my 2nd year now. And it's really not that much. You work directly with Dr. McKinley and a few other local RDs around the area. It's a really good networking experience, really good leader. Like I've learned a lot of leadership skills, and I really highly recommend doing it. It's really not too much, but you learn a lot from it, and you really get close with Dr. McKinley, which is a great thing. So y'all can email me if you have any questions about it, and I'd be happy to answer them.
thank you. And yeah, to apply, you just can send your PDF of your resume and cover letter mentioning what you're going to bring to this internship and how it, falls into your short and long-term goals in nutrition, and a list of your classes that you plan to take in fall 2021 to Dr. McKinley, and get that sent to her by March 1st so she can start looking through those. And then exciting news, our January SNDA member of the month is Allie Oh, I'm so sorry, Allie. I don't know how to say your last name. But I love you. You're doing a great job. So excited for you. So, Dr.
Thank you. It's Schleter, by the way.
Schleter. Okay. Everybody says my last name's Giles, so I understand. It's Giles. Did Dr. McKinley have any comments on this, or?
Allie's been showing up, putting in the work out in the community, and I've been noticing, so I wanted to recognize her. Keep up the good work. And as always, for those that might not know, that are new, make sure you're logging your volunteer hours. We'll have that link in the email as always, especially right now because award season is coming up. So we're gonna have to submit our nomination for Club of the Year within the next month. So I would like to have a pretty thorough list of where you guys have been volunteering and the number of hours you've been committing to it pretty much this school year. So if you still have stuff from fall you need to log, you can backtrack as much as you need to for this school year. But I always look at, usually this right before the meeting every month, I look through that log. I kind of pay attention to a lot of other things going on within the club, and that's how I make my decision for who gets member of the month. But if you're interested in being considered, you can always email me and try to convince me with all the hard work that you've been doing. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's worked every time so far. But you can send me that email by the 25th every month, and then we'll announce it at the next meeting.
Awesome. And then just some other stuff. A reminder, our remaining meetings, February 23rd, March 30th, April 20th, gonna be a fun time again. And if you're not already following us on social media, I don't know what you're doing, you're missing out, but we have a private SNDA Facebook group, which we get to learn about all the fun stuff like scholarships and job opportunities 24 hours before everybody else, which is a huge advantage. And we also just have a public Facebook page, a Twitter, and an Instagram. So there's a lot of fun memes that get posted on the Instagram story. They make my day. I would recommend following. And make sure that if you are a mentor to stick around because we're going to have a little chat. So that's all I got for you. Oh, wait, attendance. Crucial part of the meeting. So make sure you go ahead and scan the QR code and check in for the meeting.
Do any of our chairs have anything they want to chat about or mention?
I do real quick. I forgot to say. For brand, as students, you can sign up for only $5 up until July 2021. And I'm trying to get a speaker for next month probably related to sports nutrition. So if you're interested in that, sign up and it will be in the follow-up email with the link.
The only message that I have for the volunteer opportunities is that we still have some openings for the St. Paul volunteer opportunity. So if anybody wants to sign up for that, it's still there.
Oh, for Janice, we'll put the link to the QR code in the email. Some of you are watching on your cell phones and can't scan a QR code right now. We'll put it's to a Google form. We'll put that in the email so you can get credit.
It says the QR code has reached its scan limit, but if you're gonna put the link in there.
Yeah, if that's happened, we'll just follow up with the email, and we'll not use a QR code that has a limit on it. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, sorry, that was my bad. I did not know that was a thing either.
That's what happens when we use freebies.
The only thing for events, I would say, for historian, make sure you guys are taking pictures at your volunteering hours, because it's going to help us a lot when it comes to nominations for the different awards. So if you do volunteer, I know there's on the bottom of the Google form sheet says like if you have any pictures, upload them. So please upload them. Or if you realize later, you can send them to me through my email to Dr. McKinley, and we can upload them to the Google folder.
Yeah, because we have to put together a PowerPoint presentation with all your beautiful faces and all the amazing things that you've been doing so we can win this year. I want this win for us.
We're coming for the Ag Business Club. They always win.
All right, anything else? All right, I think that's a wrap. So if you're a mentor in our program and you can stay chat with me real quick, please do that. The rest of y'all, thank you.